RBI has submitted a note to the parliamentary panel, a position paper on the note ban as it's being called. Now, key among what it's saying is that the government advised the RBI to introduce the 2,000 rupee tender or 2,000 rupee note in May of last year. But very significantly also goes on to say that on the 7th of November, which is 2 days before the note ban kicked in, the government advised the RBI to consider withdrawing the 500 and 1,000 rupee notes. They also presented a rationale for the note ban to the parliamentary panel, saying that the RBI worked in consultation with the government on introduction, I beg your pardon, of a new series of banknotes for in fact, after the conversation with the government, after an advice there by the government, they're saying it occurred to the government of India and the RBI that the introduction of new notes will help tackle counterfeit terror financing. Let's go straight across to Rahul Srivastav, who's joining us for more on this. Rahul, like we were speaking earlier, the big focus has been on the role of the RBI in making the 500 and 1,000 rupee notes illegal tender and the introduction of 2,000 rupee notes. And now they're saying that they did so on the advice of the government. The government in the past has said that RBI was perfectly on board, and in fact the RBI board had gone ahead and cleared all of this. How do we sort of interpret all this that's happening? What do we make of it?
See, right since the note ban on November 8th, there was one charge and counter-charge between the government and the opposition. While the opposition said that the government decided on note ban and made it fait accompli for the RBI. And while the government says largely the decision came from the RBI and the government executed it. But perhaps the position becomes clear if one goes by the note that RBI submitted to the parliamentary panel. That is a Standing Committee on Finance, which is a permanent committee of the Parliament. Now, in this note, there are several elements which have been listed by the RBI. One, it says that the government and the RBI for the last 6 odd months were engaged in talks how to counter the problem of cash transactions, which are leading to severe problems regarding counterfeiting, terror financing, and also black money. Sometime in May last year, the RBI in fact had contemplated and recommended that there should be an introduction of 5,000 and 10,000 higher denomination notes in the economy, especially given that the inflation situation was just right. But it is on the 7th of November, that is 1 day before the note ban, Government of India recommended to the RBI that to counter these 3 problems of counterfeiting, terror financing and black money, the RBI board may consider the fact that if 500 and 1,000 rupee notes can be denotified or their legal tender status can be removed. Now, what this note says on its page 2, which is a long detailed explanation, that the RBI considered the government's advice, and in that all the factors which the government had listed, and it also says that the RBI felt that this was perhaps the most opportune time to take a step like that, and eventually the RBI board recommended to the Government of India that 500 and 1,000 rupee notes can be denotified. What it eventually means that on the floor of the House, when Mr. Piyush Goyal, Minister in the Government of India, stated that the recommendation came from the RBI, he was right. What he did not say was that there was an advice which was sent by the government to the RBI board 1 day prior to the note ban. Now, eventually, what one can say is that there was a note advisory sent by the government to RBI on the 7th. The RBI board conveyed to the government on the 8th of November, and eventually on the night of November 8th, the government eventually declared 500 and 1,000 rupee notes as not legal tender.